This is the portion where we share from the message. Hazinu is a very powerful message, as is everyone in the Torah. Every time I read a portion in the Torah, I say, wow, what a powerful message. And they all are. They're amazing. It's beautiful that he wrote it in the form of a song, because when we sing, we remember the words, and we were supposed to remember these words because of the principles that they give us. Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak. Hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My principles shall drop like the rain. My speech shall cleanse like the dew. You know, when the world is like parched right now, parched of things that are spiritual. It's empty, and it's looking for answers in all the wrong places, like many of us who have looked for love in all the wrong places. But the Torah is like the dew of heaven, and it cleanses us. And you know, when you wake up and you go out for a walk early in the morning, and you see the drops of dew on the grass, and everything is so fresh. It's beautiful. I know Karen, I'm sure, does that early in the morning, living out in the country. We don't have this in the urban jungle. It's not the same. We don't see it. And you know, he is the rock, Tzur. There's so many verses, if you do even a search, just to see how many places God is called the rock, someone we can depend upon. You know, when our earthly father, when our earthly husbands, and I can only speak as a woman, when they haven't been our rock, when they haven't been one we can depend on, we miss so much, and we go searching for that. But here, he is our tzur. His work is it says perfect, but the word in Hebrew is tam. Tam is like the ish tam. He's without guile. He's transparent. What he is, he says what he is, like he wants us to be. What we say we are, that's who we need to be. His ways are just. How much justice do we see in this world today? So little. We can't find it in our religious organizations or in our political organizations. There's no justice. He's a God of emunah, faith. We can have faith in him. We can rely on him. He gave principles that we can live by. And yes, as you said, Mauricio, we are going to fail. Each and every day we fail. And I think that the beautiful part of that is that it keeps us humble. And the best part of that is that we have a God who, like you said in the prodigal son that Yeshua talked to us about. We want everything now. Give me my inheritance. And he ran and he blew it like I blew mine. And when he came back in humility, because he realized that even the pigs, even the lowliest of servants were eating in his father's home, were eating better than he was. He was out there feeding the pigs, and he came home to his father, who didn't point a finger, like Moses didn't point a finger at his sister Miriam when she spoke against him, when she spoke lashon hara behind his back and she became sick. He didn't say, look what you did. He prayed, Elna Rafanallah, heal her. And that's a humble, truly humble heart, which I have so far to go in learning about that. So again, thank you for your message, Mauricio. If anybody has something to say about it, and if you've learned even one thing from today's message, don't be afraid to share.
I was thinking of one of my cousins, and she's had an experience with God, but it's almost like, she forgets this a lot. She's in circumstances that she's finding hard. And I talk to her usually about once a week, generally. And one of the things she often says is that she says, the children dying and the children born without limbs, who am I to whatever? It's almost a kind of reverse arrogance.
Who am I to bother God with my problems?
Yeah, like who am I to bother God? And in a way, I'm not saying she's consciously arrogant, but it's a total misunderstanding of God, as if God is a doctor who has a line of people waiting. God is in eternity and has not only room for everybody, he has an eternity which with each one of us. And he wants us to go to him. It's not like he doesn't have time. So I keep telling her that. And I said, don't keep talking about, what about the young people? I said, you're not God to design how you come, like she's had her life. She says, well, I've had my life. I've done this, I've done that. I've had a great time, all of this stuff. And sometimes I know I get a bit annoyed when she does that. And
but that's a very
gracious.
But if you realize, Miriam, that's a very Jewish way of looking at things. We all think, we were raised to think, for those who acknowledged God, well, he's up there, he made us, now we're on our own. Everything we do, we have to do.
No, I realize
a relationship with God is not something that we've been taught.
No, but she's not like, I understand what you're saying, and I understand even what she's doing, but I just, she did have an incredible encounter with the Creator. She did. So what I'm just saying is that often, even in these passages, and what Mauricio was saying, is that it has nothing to do with, in the good and the bad, God is God, and he's always there. We may not realize it. So I'm saying he's there, and he wants us to come to him. So I'm trying to just, we have
but
good
it's easy to see that in her life, but how often do we do that?
No, of course.
Our people, the Israelites, had an incredible encounter with God. They stood at the base of Mount Sinai. How many of them went to him? Well, we had just finished hearing him speak the 10 Commandments with a fire raging on Mount Sinai. There was a thunder and lightning and all kind. And what were we doing? Building a golden calf.
No, I'm not doubting that that's a common, in my own life as well. But it's just when she says that other people are the children who are dying and all of this, she keeps going to that. She's not saying things. It's not because she wants wealth. I understand what she's doing.
Yeah, it's the human experience.
It's a little bit of a sort of a martyr thing. And she has done that a lot. And I'm trying to talk to her. And then, now lately I don't keep bringing up the same thing, but I just said, I pray for you, and that any time you can go to God, even in your, whatever you're experiencing. I'm just saying that's a common experience to think, who am I, or how can I go before the Creator when there are more important things or more important events, and really we are, each one of us, before God in eternity. He has an eternity to be with each one of us, which is amazing. I find that unbelievable.
It is. And what we're in now is boot camp. This is like a boot camp. We're in a spiritual war.
Well, it's very easy to get angry with when I was in the worst of my depression or whatever, the past 2 years, whatever. It was so hard to understand that God was there. It was like I just had to keep calling out, but it doesn't feel that God is there sometimes, many times. So I understand why that's so hard.
Of course.
Today that Miriam was reading the Haftorah, it came to my mind something that I never seen. And it says that in Joel, and I really love that, because it says that assemble the elders and gather the children. And when I realized those words, it came to my mind, wow, how it doesn't say gather the elders, but it says assemble. And why it doesn't say assemble the kids and do not say gather the kids. And obviously, it came to my mind in just 1 second that when you gather the kids, they start to talk one each other, and they put together in the best, if they want to play, for example, no matter who is the other kid, they start to play, and they easily have a common objective or purpose. But all the elders and the leaders needs to be assembled, because everyone has his own way to think, and you can put them together, but they will start to punch one each other, right? Because no, this is better. No, this is the way that it should be. But when you assemble them, you give them one purpose and one objective. And when all Israel is focused in that very same purpose, then God, the presence of God, descends to that place, because there is shalom. So it was so wonderful to when she was reading, that all these ideas came to my mind in 1 second.
Interesting.
And I never seen that.
Wow.
So and also for honestly, God do not need that we come to him and say, oh God, forgive me. Honestly, it is we need that to feel clean ourselves.
Right.
Okay. And that's why we need to be humble to understand that it's not for God, it's for us. That's why in the chapter in 32 says that people think that harm themselves, okay? Because it was for me something interesting to read that the people start to think, oh, I gotta punish God by doing this or doing that, and and it's a kind of, I don't know how to say that, but it's so easy to believe that God depends for my actions, okay? But it's not, and that's why it says, hey, you are hurting yourself. Why you are hurting yourself? It's not necessary. And this is something that comes from the society, because there is an experience that these days happens to myself in my job. We as industry of sugar, we help in some areas that the government do not help people enough. Okay, we start to build, for example, roads in order to get out the production. Okay, so we build roads, we build some bridges and things like that, because the government says, oh, in that place there is only 100 person, why should I do a road, for example? In all these communities, so they have a good experience with the sugar industry, because we help them, okay, in the develop of their communities. And it's interesting that like 4 years ago, there was a great storm in El Salvador. In all those places, the water covered all the roads. And one of the we could say it's a bridge, but it's not really a bridge like Manhattan Bridge or something like that. No, it's a tube, a very strong tube, and then it's covered by some road material, and so the water flows into the tube, and people can go back and forward. And it's interesting that these two get damaged 4 years ago.
Hmm.
Since 4 years ago, we tried to repair that bridge, and people start to say, oh no, I want this, I want that, and things like, you know, they wanted a Manhattan Bridge in that land that is not necessary. Okay. And they start to win. No, we don't want to have this bridge. Okay, we want this kind of structure. And we came with the government and agencies, and they said, no, it's not necessary. What you are requesting is not necessary in this road. And then we start to build up the new bridge. Okay, because the government and the mayor said, go ahead, do it. Okay, then we start to destroy the bridge that was before. We put a better capacity of water in tube, and we start to build. We were at the middle of the bridge destroyed. At that moment came the persons of the community, and they get with weapons, you know, and they start to say, yeah, we don't want this bridge. We want to have a better bridge. And obviously with weapons, and you say, but you are not giving 1 penny to this. Is free for you. Okay, but stop the job. So we decided to stop the job. Okay, and right now we are waiting for the people to restart again the job, the work, and it's interesting that people rather to be without any road than to have a road to circle. And you start to say, oh, what they believe, and like this portion says, you are thinking, but you're harming yourself. You are doing better. No, you are not. You are losing. You are losing too much. Okay, and that is like God is telling us. Then also I've heard people that say, I will not study because there is no study that is according to my desires, for example, and they decided not to study. And as the Rabbi says, oh, it is much worse to the heart of not studying than in the short time the hard work of studying. Okay, because in long time then you will suffer the consequences of not studying. Okay, and things like that. And it's incredible how true is these words. Okay, when we decide, oh, I will not follow this commandment because it's not good enough for me. So it's like in what place we are, in the wisdom of God that knows everything the better for us, or in the place that I believe that I'm better than the thoughts of God. So and all this came to my mind during this week portion, because you know, I think we need to grow. Okay, and honestly, when we decide to grow, yes, we will suffer a little bit pain. Okay, because you know the comfort which we are is but you know, for example, to take the Torah and start to read and study, for example, takes time. Oh, I will now see that watch my show for a TV show, or I will not go to the gym. No, but yeah, it's not that all the things are good, but the problem is that people, is, especially today, in the it's like the goal of the person is to live full of pleasure.
Mhm.
Okay, and you know, when you see you have to sacrifice, you have to grow, you have to do this, people don't like that, but it's necessary, okay, to have
There's
this
no easy way
balance.
out. There's no easy way out.
Yes,
You just have to
and
put it in.
and it's hard, for example, for my kids to understand that,
Yeah.
because, for example, they wanted to be all day at their phones, or at their computers, or at the, I don't know, the TV or internet, or getting out with other guys. And when you start to, hey, Pablo, Santi, Samara, come, you have to study, do this calligraphy job, and all these things, clean your room, clean your table, clean the place you wear, order your shoes, and all this is against of what they are looking to all these, all his um, you know, partners at school, because they start to say, but in that house they ask that. And you have to fight with that, but in this house you have to do that, and it's the same with God. Oh, but God, you know, that person do not do that, but yet you are different. You are in my house. It's the very same. So um and that, for me, is the message of Moshe in this song. And it's interesting that this Shabbat, when it's not Shabbat Shuvah, is Shabbat Shirah, which is a song of Shabbat of song, um and it's related to one chapter of David, David songs that are in Psalms, in Second Samuel, if I can remember. And and it's interesting that describes the life of David. And David start to say, hey, like Moshe, when I was walking in the ways of the Lord, then I was blessed. And I was fear of the Sheol. And when you compare the words of Sheol with Shaul, are very similar.
Interesting.
So, and you know, David, you know, he said, I was perfect, but he was not really perfect. He was a kill persons
He was
and
a
things like
murderer.
that. He was a murderer,
Mm.
yes, and but his heart, his intentions were good.
Right.
And in the capacity of to be humble and say, oh God, yes, I did it wrong. Forgive me. I want to make teshuvah. I want to return to my root. And that capacity allows him to be called a just man, a righteous man,
Mhm.
a perfect, a tam, okay, a tam.
Ishtam.
And
Yeah.
each time, yes.
Mm.
So, and for me, that's something that we need to today to assemble all together and gather the kids, and that is about the teshuvah, okay, to return back to our origin, to our God.
Mhm. Yes, all about the Shabbat of the return. My goodness, there's so many things. Every time we look into the scriptures, I remember it was so easy when Rabbi would do it. And I, sometimes if I forgot to read, I would be doing other things. It was easy to convince myself that I was keeping busy. But now that I need to do it myself, and I can see how much wealth and richness there is in the Word of God. It's absolutely incredible. And yeah, there's still so much to learn. It's beautiful.
I was thinking about Mauricio when you're talking about the story about the man with the cow, you know, how so many of us, we don't realize sometimes when we go through certain hardships that it's not like God isn't there, but God is seeing the whole plan. But even then, sometimes things happen, like, and we don't see what's come out of it, in the sense that it's not, you do this and that happens. So sometimes we don't see, like, you know, things will happen that are bad, whatever, whether it's losing a child, which is horrific, or you know, your husband cheating on you, whatever. These are horrible things, and we don't always see or understand why these things happen. But to know that God is always there, even during these things, and that God is not like looking down at us and saying, this is going to happen to you, that's going to happen to you, but that God is a God of justice. And when we turn to God, even in the bad things, in all things, to know that God is always there, even in those bad things. And sometimes we'll understand, like I try and look back at the time, you know, at the thing I just went through, and I try and look at it, and sometimes I get a sense, like I ask myself, would I rather go back to life before I went through that thing, or have I learned something from this? And I'm always trying to assess, you know, my relationship with God, but the bottom line is we have to, like, I realize more strongly than before that God is always there. I mean, I still wrestle, I still have my same issues, but that to me is the bottom line, is that we won't always see, for example, what the reason is for it, or it's, you know, like even with the Holocaust, like we know as believers, we know that Israel has turned from God, but I will never say this to a person who's been through the Holocaust. You know, it's too much to put on them at one time, but there is a reason for everything, and there is sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't. Like I've seen, for example, two extremes reactions to people who have been through the Holocaust. One is a anger so deep, which I understand, that they never want to know or hear about anything from God, don't want to read the Torah, don't want to pray, don't want to do anything. And I've seen the opposite reaction. You know, where my mother used to belong to this group, and there's a woman who was in the Holocaust in Auschwitz. Anyway, I've seen this person turn to God and become such a beautiful, loving believer. So God is there in everything. And I think the point is to learn that God is really there. We're not always going to have, you know, an understanding of why these things happen.
Right. I like what you spoke about with your children, Mauricio, and it's wonderful to be able to do that, you know, to have that sense of what it is to be a father or a mother, where you're the one to guide them. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes us out of our comfort zones. It is not an easy thing to do, especially when you know you're telling them something that they don't want to hear and they don't want to do, which is what our God goes through all the time. For parents, my daughter came over yesterday. We had Shabbat dinner, my younger daughter, and she was telling me how when they would sneak out of bed at night, and they would, you know, go and watch TV thinking that I didn't see. And then I would I would make them go back into bed and give them a spanking. And I went, oh, I gave you a spanking. Yes, that's good. I'm glad, because, you know, I forgot that there were times I did discipline, because sometimes as a parent, you want your children to like you, and we want to be accepted by them. That's not our role. God doesn't care that we like him or that we accept him. He wants because he knows what is for our good, even if we don't like it in the moment. And that's how we have to be with our children. And it is not an easy thing to do. The role of parenthood is probably one of the most difficult tasks that we have on this planet. And when we don't do it, what's happening in this world is a result of parents not doing their job, of allowing other institutions to take over. We'll allow the synagogues or the church or whatever institution to teach our children about who God is, instead of us doing it in the home, which is what we're supposed to do, and how we're supposed to lead by example. You know, I remember my father always saying to me, don't do as I do as I say. And that doesn't work. We have to lead by example. Yes, André.
We need to stop, and this is very important thing. Okay, we need to stop putting God into a box of like a humanity, in the sense of interpreting God, who God is, with a humanism understanding.
Exactly.
And that means God knows every single one of us. Okay, now when I say this, I say it because we portray God. Okay, sometimes we portray as a superhuman. Okay, we portray him that that has also dysfunctional has these functions as humans do. Right. Like, for example, anger, to be anger.
Yeah, because we're used to making our own gods.
To be disappointed. Oh, he's disappointed. If God will be disappointed with everything that has created and he loves to infinity, you know. Now, for example, judgment, to judge other people, you know, to what else? To punish, you know, like if we are making God as a father, you know, like this is all what religion, okay? And we have not realized until now. We are starting to wake up since Yeshua came and told us, okay, about the relationship with the Creator is the most important thing. And in order to get close to the Creator, okay, religion has created a lot of ways, and most of these ways they were put in place without understanding of or acknowledging what spirit of the Creator is, and who we as humans are. Okay, now I'm going to give you an example, okay, a parable, all right, because it is very important that we get out of this mentality. Let's call it religious consciousness that has been put on us for thousands of years, okay, that has not helped humanity to evolve to the point where we should be right now, okay, after thousands of years, where we still are killing each other in wars, we're still destroying everybody's other countries, you know, by all sorts of things. You can see that religion has not helped a lot. Now, am I saying that some commandments are not useful? No, I'm not saying that. There are some commandments that are very essential for maintaining or a sort of peace, or I will say order, and in the world, and especially when they are about respect about, you know, others, and you know, taking care of others as you take care of yourself, like loving others as you love yourself and stuff. But I'll give you an example, and this is what I came up with this example that I hope that you get the point. So this is would you be okay knowing that no matter what you do will you will always fail your driving license test. Not only once, not only twice, but indefinitely. Okay, indefinitely. Sorry, my English is horrible.
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely. Okay. What will this do to you? Okay, and when I'm saying driving, I'm saying that being able, to carry yourself. And I'm not talking about just driving, a square box, metal box, with, no. I'm talking about being yourself, the one who holds and who decides where to go. So now, what will this do to you? You won't be never ever. You won't be never ever. You won't be able to drive ever a car if you don't have a license, right? Now, your car, you won't be able to drive a car, or I will say, your soul, spirit, or consciousness. This will not limit. Will this not limit us in the way of moving, of advancing, accomplishing bigger things, like example, traveling, going to other places where we can discover, knowing other places, not from where the city that we are living right now, stuck in a place where you cannot go anywhere because you don't have, you can walk and you can do certain things, but you are very limited in the city that you live. Like going to different places, meeting other people that they don't speak your own language, they speak other languages, or meeting, you know what I'm trying to say? Or we will be dependent on a system of control bases, services, okay, that you can't change anything, and that you have to follow all the time. And more importantly, that it will control you and limit you in everything or anything that you want to do. Do you understand this parable? That this is applied to our lives. When we set up rules that limit us and makes us be dependent, and not realizing that you are caught in a system where it makes you be in that system, and until you don't realize and come out from that way of thinking, we're stuck in a religious system that the only thing that it does is keep the people in the same loop indefinitely. But when you get your driving license and you understand you are getting out of this system, you're starting to understand who you are. Now, I will repeat again. I said in the past. I will say it again, that we are created at the image of the Creator. Okay, we are here. Okay, to make an expression, a mirror of the face of the Spirit, of wisdom, of love, of benevolence, of kindness, of compassion. So that we will, in perfect unity and harmony with our Creator, be participating by learning, by growing, by becoming conscious of who humanity is. And this is what it's the elevated transformation that the Creator wants for all of us, for all humanity, for every soul, human soul.
God willing. The thing you said about Yeshua, every message that he brought always referred back to the Torah of Moses. Yeshua didn't come to bring a new message. He brought us back to the original message of Moshe. They are almost very similar. Of course, Yeshua had a larger role, which was to bring it more universal to the whole world. Anyway, this message.
Yeshua spoke in parables because he knew who he is. He knows that the teaching that he was teaching, they were not teaching from human books. It was not teaching from wisdom of human. It was talking about the wisdom that comes from spirit directly, from the Creator's spirit. Why? Because of his relationship with the Creator. Okay, and knowing who he is, he knew that he's part of the Creator, and he had all this knowledge to transfer to a group, in this case Israel, he was sent for the Jewish people in that period of time to bring this message to them. Okay, and the only way to explain things, he will use some texts because of in the way to if you're trying to explain someone something, you don't explain with words that they don't know or examples that they don't know. You have to give them and use the scriptures that in this that they were put in place for a purpose. And not only that, Yeshua would use a lot of parables in order to to bring.
But that you should that was a very rabbinic way of teaching. The rabbis always used parables. They always used stories. It's like the story of the man that Mauricio spoke about. It was a parable.
It is important. It is important to do it that way, but not in the way like, oh, the rabbi this said this, and that is, we are carrying. We are not going to the source. You know what I'm trying to say, which is spirit, which is the Creator itself. The knowledge that the spirit can give us. Once that we understand, and we touch, we get reconnected with the Creator by putting aside all this humanism and all this thing that has been, put in place, and we will understand a lot of things, many things.
We're not perfect. You're trying to bring perfection into humanity today, and that's not going to happen until
we are created to the image of the Creator. We are created in a perfect way, which means we are a part of Him. Now, you don't be confused one thing, okay? Because
are you saying that you do everything perfectly in your life?
Listen, no, I'm not. That this is the problem. There is. We cannot confuse of who spirit is and how we are created, but with the things that we do sometimes, okay? In the sense, how can I explain
but
this?
you're separating the spirit and the body. It's not.
I think what I understand, Angel, is that you're saying that we're created perfectly, which I agree. We are perfect beings, but we were also given the power of choice, free will. Yes. And we choose wrong things.
Free will, exactly. Free will.
Yeah, no, I understand. So, is that what you're saying? So we are perfect beings.
Yes, I agree. But we are growing and we are learning. We are in the process of growth, and there are things that we don't know, and when we do things sometimes, and sometimes we don't know what are the consequences. And it's a process of learning, okay? But that doesn't mean that we are evil or we are, it's like so human, like condemning and judging people. It's not the way how the Creator.
But nobody's saying that. What you're saying is exactly Mauricio's message for the day.
Okay, yes. Yeah. So, but that is what I was saying. I was saying too.
Yeah. So you're agreeing with his message. That's good. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, I guess we'll say goodbye for today. We'll prepare for the rest of the day and tomorrow for Kol Nidre, you ready with your shofar, Angel? I hope you'll be at you received the the services, so you know where your part is, and we're looking forward to the rest of the holy days. Mauricio, I know it can't be easy for you because there's nobody there in your community to celebrate this with. Although many of us, even though we're here, we're not always, together. It's not easy on Zoom to be community. It's really, we have a very great challenge. But in the meantime, we just, wherever we are, may we hear what God is speaking to us. Thank you again for your message.
Is it 8:00 tomorrow?
It's 8:00 tomorrow evening, exactly, after dinner. We will come together to do the Kol Nidre. So have a wonderful rest of the day, everybody. Yes.
So, one last thing about the question that I said, that about, would you think about that, about the question of failing every single driving license test and accepting that, if you will be okay accepting that. You know what I mean?
Is that supposed to be a metaphor for us?
Yeah, it must be a metaphor because I passed my driver's test the first time.
We don't fail every test.
Yeah.
We're not failing every
It's okay. My internet was a kind of do you hear what I said?
Sorry?
Do you hear what I said?
When?
Okay, never mind. I have a problem with the internet, so I just say.
Okay. All right. So we wish you all a wonderful Shabbat Shuvah, and God willing, we'll see you all soon.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.